Hello and welcome. Another try and fly, this time back on Prepared. And it is basically an add-on to the Pmdg Boeing 747-400 version 3, the Queen of the Skies, the latest edition. But you can also get the -8 extension. This is an additional pack that you can buy. You have to have the original 747-400 from Precision Manuals or Pmdg, but then you can also add this extension to it. And what you get is then a freighter version and a passenger version of the -8. We are looking here at the passenger version. And as you can see, this is a good bit bigger, I think, than the normal 747-400. And it has these special new engines, and obviously there are many other things that are different or more modern and more fuel efficient in the -8 than they used to be in the 400. Okay, so let's jump into the simulator. Here it is. For some reason, the cold and dark opens one door, so there's always fresh air in the aircraft, even if nobody is at home. Now this is on my old PC, and I just realized that again and again there are certain settings that keep updating itself. No, that's not what I wanted. I want to show you. I'm going to show you my settings in a moment, but I actually wanted to do clear skies so that it is comparable with other aircraft. Now, as you can see, my frames are around 29.8, which is basically 30 frames, because I have limit frames in this machine. Specs are as usual in the description. I've limited this to 30 frames. And also the video recording is limited to the same frames per second, so that they are in sync. Because this is quite an old PC and it has very limited power, I cannot put everything up to the top settings. So I have to actually scale down, especially on the anti-aliasing and the likes, because especially when it gets dark and the HDR lighting kicks in, frames drop drastically with almost every aircraft, but also with the Pmdg. The thing is, the Pmdg so far, the 400, and I'm pretty sure the -8 is no different, is quite good on the frames. They have optimized, so Pmdg has optimized these aircraft really good. And that is why it's actually possible for me to fly such an aircraft on my old machine in Prepared version 4.5 hotfix 2, and in a complicated airport environment such as Munich, without seeing major drops in frame rates. There will be drops, yes, but with the settings that I have right now, and I can show them to you, they actually stay acceptable. The only compromise I have to make is that I see crookedy lines, so the flimmer and things like that, which isn't great. But then again, I can use these fantastic aircraft. I'm mainly someone who's playing with X-Plane or flying an X-Plane. And I really like X-Plane a lot. And for me, it's the more versatile platform. It's the platform that I can do far more with, and which looks, in my view, looks much better for less money. But Prepared has Pmdg and Majestic and Quality Wings with its 787. And even the new Captain Sim 757. They are really good aircraft. And although we do have a number of decent aircraft in X-Plane, they do not surpass the Pmdg level. They're below that, definitely. So I like coming back to this simulator from time to time, although I wouldn't be investing an awful lot of money into it anymore. By the way, not because of FS 2020. FS 2020 for me is, I'm going to look at it when it's really out and when we really can see what it is like and what it does and what it doesn't offer. But for me, FS 2020 is absolutely no factor whatsoever at the moment in my decision whether or not I invest in any of the other platforms that I have. Okay, let's look at the graphic settings. I have an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050 Ti. I bought this for about 180 euro already a couple of years ago. Time is just flying. And it actually vamped up the capabilities of this machine drastically. Not with X-Plane though, because X-Plane is very hefty also on the graphic card, but also on the CPU. Whereas Prepared, in its current shape, is using the graphic card. It's not so much using the CPU. So my relatively old and slow CPU, 3.6 gigahertz or something, is actually okay. It's doing fine with Prepared. I mean, there are some limitations, obviously, but when you keep reasonable on the settings, you can actually run these machines. And I know that there are people out there that have old setups or low ranking setups like I do, and for them, that's one of the reasons why I'm still doing these videos, because I want to show, look at this, even a Pmdg Queen of the Sky can actually fly in Prepared on a rig like this, because you just have to be a bit, you have to make some compromises when it comes to the settings and so on. So FXAA, turn that off. It eats frames and not a few. If you are in a low end range with your PC, it eats frames. So keep it off. It makes a difference in the picture, yes, but the cost is too high. Anisotropic 4, there isn't that much difference you will see when you ramp this up or down. 4 is actually a good setting, and it's not really affecting the frames very much. That's at least my experience. 2x SSAA, that's kind of the best setting where the, let's say, the result versus the frames is still acceptable. The MSAA range doesn't really work for me. There's too much flicker to be seen. 2x SSAA actually is somewhat reasonable. 4x and 8x, they look better, yes, but you will see a visible drop. In my case, it would drop to about 20, and then it becomes already marginal. Okay, so 2x SSAA is a good compromise. When it comes to the world settings, as you can see, they're not that low. Okay, mesh resolution I keep very high in order to also have sceneries with a high mesh without having to turn this up and down all the time. Texture resolution can be reduced. It can have an outside effect on your on how your scenery looks. But again, here you have to kind of, there's a trade-off. The Ti, my 1050 Ti has 4 GB of video RAM, or was it 6? No, I think it was 4. It's 4 GB. No, it's 6 GB. What am I talking? It's 6 GB. That's okay. It's not little, but it's limited. So the higher you especially go on level of detail radius and the likes, the more of that is eaten up, and the more the graphic card will be affected. Okay, and I don't use the high resolution terrain textures. Anyway, I have a lot of ORBX land classes and stuff like that, and there I'm not even sure that this really makes a difference. And here you see I'm in the middle to lower range when it comes to autogen. It may not look fantastic and super realistic when you have the lower settings here, because there are less buildings and so on, but I want to concentrate on flying the aircraft and have that reasonably behaving, and even use it for online flying. So these settings appear to be the ones that allow me to actually do this without getting stuck with frames slow and things like that. The lighting, yeah, dynamic lighting is on. You need it on actually in many cases, and also for the Pmdg aircraft you need it on, otherwise you wouldn't be seeing any outside lights, and there are other things that won't work if dynamic lighting isn't on. I already realized that without this setting there are things that don't work, like cockpit lighting. In many cases in the new aircraft you might actually get a problem with your cockpit lighting if you do. Yeah, and the weather settings, the density I have at maximum, because when I have clouds I want to have the full stuff. But I do limit the cloud draw distance to 80 miles, and that seems to be a good compromise. But as you can see, my settings aren't that low. Okay, they are what I found out is a good compromise that still works with my graphic card. And I can show you another factor. Let's unpause the simulator, by the way, it was paused. So what I do is, because I'm also using OBS for recording, you see here the task manager. I have to take care that the GPU column, which you can see now in Windows 10, it wasn't possible to see it in older Windows versions, but in 10 it automatically is there if you activate it. It shows me if my graphic card is maxed out. If this is over 90%, OBS needs up to 10% for recording and for streaming. So if you are above 90% with your graphic card GPU, you will get stutters in some shape or form. You will have effects because your graphic card can't cope with what is hitting it, because it will reach almost 100%, and then it has to kind of compromise, and it will put things in and out of its own memory or whatever. So it will slow down. You will see artifacts on the video recording, and you will also experience stutters and stuff like that in your simulator. That's why this is important. By the way, ORBX, I have no idea why that is, but for ORBX, what I need to do so that I don't get blurry textures, I need to actually vamp up the CPU to priority high, but only for the prepared process. And I also realized that the affinity, which I have actually set to not use CPU 0, but I realized that in order to prevent blurry textures, I also need to set those to all cores. Although prepared isn't a multi-core, at least not yet. What I heard, possibly the new prepared version 5 coming out in the next soon, supposedly is. We shall see. I don't know really. It's just kind of rumor that I heard. I'm not going to jump on prepared version 5 immediately. They're all coming out now because of FS 2020. Quite obviously. Also, we're talking about X-Plane version 12 now. Sometime as soon as they have Vulkan fully established. So I'm going to wait anyway and check out how prepared version 5 is. I'm pretty sure a lot of things have to be rewritten again. There will be more tools that cannot follow because the developers aren't available. They might not make any changes. We will have the classic probably that the guy who's written FSU IPC is on vacation when it comes out, and nobody can use FSU IPC on prepared 5. We're going to have all this, the usual stuff, when a new version comes out of prepared. Yeah, so I'm going to pass that, and I will wait, and maybe by the end of the year or so, if I have the feeling this could be worth, also it could actually benefit me here on my old rig. I might go through all the hoops of installing, because don't forget, it's a nightmare to install everything again, and there are these installation limits, and you have to be very careful, because if you install it twice, then you have to write emails and ask them to reactivate things, and so it is actually quite a bit of work to set up a new version of prepared. I did it now with version 4, and I'm still doing it because I did a big cleanup beginning of last year, and I started everything from scratch, and I would have basically to do that again with version 5. Yeah, but we shall see. Anyway, there's some movement in the simulator business, but I'm digressing. Okay, so this is the Pmdg. I have to say that there are a few planes in the sim world that I really love. The NGX is one of them, and to tell you the truth, the 747 is the other one. So, and the Pmdg 747, yeah, it's a beauty. I think it's one of the greatest add-ons. It's not cheap, yes, but you do get an awful lot of aircraft for your money. A really awful lot of aircraft from a company that is also very decent and reliable in what they give you. You get quality. They haven't really, in all these years, they haven't really moved into a position where they would dump half our stuff on us and let us do the beta testing, like it is only too common in the simulator world. So the Pmdg stuff, it's proven things. Even the Dash 8 is already out for, I don't know, a year minimum, if not even longer. I lose track of all this. And it is really reliable stuff, I'm pretty sure. Thing is, I just installed it again, and I haven't really flown the 747-8, and especially I haven't seen the new features yet. So I'm going to explore these features and the differences between the 400 as I know it and this here. There are some differences, definitely, apart from the size. And I'm going to show you those. Again, no, I haven't read all the manuals. This is Try&Fly. You don't like that? Maybe you want to pick another video. But for those who like this kind of exploratory videos, you're right here. By the way, I've decided now to go and make 2 types of Try&Flies with every aircraft, especially with long-haul aircraft. So aircraft that can fly larger distances. So not GAs and so on. And that is basically, I'm doing a Try&Fly and then I'm doing a long haul. Something that I've done already in X-Plane with the Dash 8 there. I'm going to do a similar thing. We're flying back from Dubai to Liège in Belgium. It's about a 6.5-hour flight, plus everything else, where I'm kind of testing the stability and the closeness to the sim brief calculations. Thing is, I have TopCat, for example, which is fine for the 747-400, although I'm not even sure because there are new versions of the 400. Also, the 400 has been renewed. So I'm not sure if the TopCat values are still valid, but I think they're pretty close. But the Dash 8 is definitely a different animal here. So we have different values. There's a different fuel consumption. So I would guess that a normal 747-400 planning in TopCat would not cover the Dash 8, but SimBrief has a Dash 8 profile. I'm going to check that on the long haul thing. I'm going to check if how close we are and how predictable those plannings in SimBrief are for a particular model. Right. I'm in the cockpit. A lot is like we are used to in the 747-400, but then again, you can see differences. For example, the 400 has the old displays. Here are these new ones, you know, I think they're TFTs or something like that, or active displays, and so it's more modern, everything. You can see that here, a bit more like in the 777. Up here, it looks pretty similar. Okay. So let me try and reach the battery. Okay. And we have the ground power already connected. So I'm going to activate the ground power. Knack, knack, knack. I also do have FS2 crew, but I'm not going to test it here today. So this is a pure aircraft test that I'm doing here. I think they said that the sound also has been improved or modified for this aircraft. I don't really know, to be honest. But I have my headphones on and it sounds pretty good to me. Yeah, I mean, most of the aircraft is very similar to the 747-400. But, for example, here are these new, more modern radio units. And yeah, there was also this ACARS type data link thingy, which we're going to have to use if we want to load a flight plan. And that I just get reminded now that, yeah, that was somewhat complicated. I remember there's a certain procedure. I hope I get it together in a moment. Yeah. Maybe we should turn the auto throttle off. Okay, and something that is definitely completely novel, new, is this thing here. When you click here, this is an EFB, and this is not just a run-of-the-mill EFB. It's pretty much a lot of functionality that really belongs into an EFB of such an aircraft. something that we don't really get in X-Plane at all yet. And not only that, if you click on terminal charts, guess what? If you have a Navigraph, you can't see that now, but I'm getting asked in an external window to authenticate and connect with Navigraph, with my Navigraph subscription. And once you have that, look at that. You have the possibility, and you can even use the external keyboard. Just don't forget to turn it off, because it can have interesting side effects if you don't. And then you say search ident, it says Munich, and the destination is also Munich. Well, let's put that in as well then, search ident. And then we say complete, and then you can see this is kind of a favorite, or they call it chart clips, so it's not all the charts, it's the chart clip. So for some reason the ground is always automatically chosen, and yeah, that's a little bit awkward, because when you use the mouse wheel, the whole cockpit, not only the chart. So if you don't want to move the whole cockpit, you can do it like this. You can drag with the mouse inside. The only thing I haven't yet figured out, but as I say, I just installed and I haven't really had much to do with it yet, is if you can use the Navigraph Symlink, which I have activated, I think. Yes, it's activated, I can see it. So in theory, if I would call up the Navigraph charts desktop, for example, or the browser window, I would actually see myself here on stand 185 in Munich. I haven't yet been able to establish if that is possible. Yeah, I don't know if there is a setting that allows us to do that. So if you say show menu, you have a night mode. Split mode, I think, is, I'm not sure. I think it has to do with sort of larger, or I don't know. I'm not sure what split mode is, because I haven't been able to select it yet. Rotate is if you have charts that are somewhat turned the other way, you can kind of rotate your chart so that it is readable. You can reset the zoom. And quick use, yeah, goes back to the quick use chart list. And here you see now all the airport charts. What you can do is you can select then the arrival charts or the departure charts. So these, I think, are departure charts, you see already. And so we can go for the Anchor 9 Quebec. That's the one that we're going to fly in the Try&Fly. I keep forgetting. Yep, you see here we are going from 08 left, follow here the Anchor 9 Quebec via Delta Mike 079 to Anchor, and then comes Akini on our route. I can add this to clip, and there it will remain for the moment. It forgets everything about the clips after you reload the aircraft, but hang on. So how do I get back? Back. So that's the SID, the airport chart we have already in the clip. And here you can also get all the charts. It's a little bit, it's 11 pages, so you have to use page down, page up. So these filters help you to find these things a bit quicker. So let me go for the arrival. It's the Bumpter 4 Alpha arrival. I'm going to add this to the clip. And if we go one back, then I go for the approach, and it's the ILS localizer runway 08 left with the transition mic. Let's go back into day mode here. I think it's a bit better readable. Oops, yeah, I just forgot I wanted to add this to the clip. So if I go to the menu, oops, that was too high. If you go one up, and so how do I get into the clips? What was that? Search all, complete. Here's the clips. Yeah, that must be a faster way. You can also search for other airport. You do not have to have only the two, your departure and arrival airport, but you can also select any airport that you want. Just enter the ICAO code I don't know, such as Echo Delta Delta Foxtrot. Then search ident, it would show you, and you can call up charts from Frankfurt, even if you're not in Frankfurt. Exit the view, and then let's say cancel. And chart utilities, you can, once the FMS is programmed, you could actually pull your stuff from the FMC. Use chart clip from other EFB. What it actually talks about is the other side. There are two separate EFB units. Everything is like in the real world. You have independent flight management computers and entry units, and you have also two individual EFBs where you could bring other things up. And now I found the chart clip. So this is how you get quickly into the chart clips. So the other thing that you do here is documents. There's the EFB manual. There's some EFB customization. There's an introduction, and this is basically the documentation, or a documentation, and it is quite complex. And I read somewhere that you can also put your own documents somewhere in a folder, and you can then use this here as well. That's as far as I understood. EFB customization. Yeah, I think that's what it describes. You see, EFB documents library common. Yep. So I'm pretty sure you can put your own stuff in there and be able to call it a bit like in the Aerosoft EFB plugin in X-Plane, where I put the flight plans here. I might actually use this for my long haul. Menu. So that's so we have an ident page that's basically giving you the versions of everything here, Navigraph also, and so on. Then we have the system page. There's an EFB maintenance page. You can update, I think, the current airports, and you can filter what airports are to be shown to you. Anything that's not suitable for a Dash 8 can be left out, like 7,000 feet minimum. And you can scan actually your airports so that it finds kind of add-ons or sceneries basically, and include that into the list. Was that it? Application preferences. Oh yeah, here you can set a lot of things, such as you want weight units in kilograms, and I had forgotten to save this actually the last time. That's why it was wrong. Precision approach, jet fuel, yeah, Fahrenheit, no, we want Celsius, Toda, Asta. Yeah, let's lose that. Obstacle height, runway start, save. And then you can restart the EFB. And there it will be, and it kind of comes like in the real world. It kind of boots up, and then after some time all the menu items get active. Now look at that. Pilot utilities. Video is, yeah, it's basically little 3D windows which show you the cockpit. Yeah, I actually haven't been able to sit in the cabin. I haven't yet found a way to get into the cabin. I'm not sure if it's actually modeled, but this is like in the real aircraft. So video surveillance, yeah, it's not something that I absolutely need. But here comes the good stuff. These are pilot utilities. You can converters for speed, for length, for weight. For example, you could convert pounds into kilograms and vice versa, for example. Temperature conversion, should you actually need it. Volume conversion, US gallons into liters, for example. Or weight conversion, I know we were there already. Time zone conversion. So you can define what time zone you're in now. what time zone you want to see the time for, and it will calculate the UTC or the local time at the particular time zone. Fuel volume to weight means basically that you can calculate how many imperial gallons are how much kilograms or liters of, and you can output this into pounds or kilograms. So I can, for example, ask how much are 6 oh, hang on. Yeah. How much are 60 pounds? How do I do that then? How do I activate this? Okay, so volume input. Hang on. Let's say 1000. Density unit is pounds to US gallons, and I want the whole thing in kilograms. I'm not sure how that works actually. Now it is. Okay. Density unit 1, 453.59 kilograms are 1000. 1000 US gallons are 453? Really? Well, yeah, 1000 liters, but the density unit, I'm not sure what I should put in there, but obviously density varies depending on things like temperature and so on, and when you know the factor, you can actually correct for that. Yeah. If I take liters into kilograms, then obviously 1000 liter is 1000 kilogram, but fuel can actually have a different density depending on the temperatures. So there are certain factors that change this. Anyway, scratch pad, well, yeah, you can do notes there. I don't think this is very handy for me, but good to have it. Timer stopwatch. So you have a countdown, a count up, alert on completion. So you could actually say alarm in 2 minutes. And then you have the calculator, just a simple calculator option here in the pilot utilities. So application data is able to load, add-on airport scan required. So what it does is it would need to scan the add-on airports for the first time, use the product, and then each time you install an add-on scenery, a memo indication will prompt you to perform a new scan whenever necessary. Yes, I want to continue. So it's now going through all the sceneries, and now it has found the data. What I'm guessing is these are data such as runway length and so on, which it pulls in order to use them for calculations. Initialize flight actually starts a flight, and close flight ends the flight. And what I'm guessing what will happen when we use this is that that it will also register the off block time, on block time, and things like that. But I haven't yet checked out that. The really important and also fantastic option here, and we've seen this in the 787 as well, is this menu here for calculating your takeoff and, by the way, also landing performance. Okay, but before we do that, we actually need to load the aircraft. So I'm going to go here, going to go to fuel, and I'm going to put in short range fuel. That is 140,000 pounds. Oh, we are in pounds. I don't want to be in pounds. Okay, let's go to the menu. Where's the menu? Here's the menu. Pmdg setup, aircraft. Is it the options? I think it's here somewhere. Simulation. Yeah, I'm not going to go through all this. Okay, so there are, most of them are the same as we have in the 747-400. And anyway, there's so much you can change and set and do in this aircraft. I think it was probably an aircraft. Yeah, let's go to equipment. I need to find where you switch to kilograms. Oop, what was that? No. 19 pages by now. But either I have missed it or it's in another options. Okay, let's carefully go through this again. Okay, seems to be this place. Ah, kilograms and Celsius. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to do. Then let's go to FS Actions Fuel, and we have 63,000. That is a little bit, well, that's a lot, but we keep it on short range. Yeah, we keep that in there. So then comes the payload, and I actually want an empty payload, so I'm going to set this on empty. So we only carry our fuel with us and not much more. This is the doors menu, which you can open and close. By the way, I think GSX has a profile for this. I think they also open the doors automatically. But this aircraft comes with its own set of vehicles, so you can do here your ground connections. We have already the ground power selected. That's why it says here release. Okay. Then you can start with service vehicles. That's the fuel truck, the forward galley, aft galley, and so on. And you can also request stairs. So I think I'm going to request stairs for the middle, because as we have seen, this door is open. So you have your own kind of GSX style kit with this aircraft, and eventually it will come up here. Yep, there we go. So nobody has to climb on the rope. All right. Again, this is pretty much the same as in the normal 747, and yeah, that should do for the moment. Now let's go to the FMC. We are on a 747-8. We have the Gen X2 BE67. Our ARAC is almost up to date. I need to update basically again, but it's okay. Nav data out of range, that's what it says, and it's basically correct, because we are in 2004 now. Position in it, we have already, no, we haven't yet. So now what I could do is I could walk through all this, but there's a quicker way, and I'm going to go that way now because I don't want to spend too much time. I'm going to set the short setup, which basically brings us into a point where we would program the FMC with a route, and then we would have everything else basically ready to connect the pushback and get going with the pushback. Okay. And that includes having everything aligned. Now, if you want to read flight plans from your files or something, you have to go through this complicated D-Link process, which is basically a data link, and it simulates an ACARS. It is a great feature. I'm just not going to use it here. I'm going to enter the flight plan manually. But if you want to do that, you need to kind of log on to the ACARS system. It's not that difficult, but when you haven't flown with the aircraft for some time, you keep forgetting how that worked. But they are simulating the kind of CPDLC and digital data link and ACARS in these aircraft. And I think they're also planning to have some product out there which also is kind of a dispatcher whatever system where I think it's a subscription-based product where you can then it's like a bit like an airline sending you then information and things like that. Anyway, we're not going to use that. So position in it, we are in Echo Delta Delta Mike. Let's do the usual setup here. We're at position 185, and this is one of the few aircraft that actually does it correctly and sets up the position of your gate or stand. We're going to fly from Echo Delta Delta Mike to Echo Delta Delta Mike. We're going to take off from runway 08 left. Flight number is test 1. I haven't actually flown with this yet. We're not using a company route, and our first route waypoint is Akini. Our second route waypoint is Ostis, and our last one is Bamta, which is also the entry to the Bamta arrival. So in many other aircraft I need to do the activate thing, for example the UFMC in X-Plane. Here you don't need to do the activate thing. I'm just so used to doing it that I just do it here too. But we're still missing something. So we have runway 08 left, and we're going to go for the, let's select it, yeah. So select 08 left, Anchor 9 Quebec, execute. Let's quickly check. Yep. And we have a discontinuity. Yep, execute. Let's go back into the arrival. We can already set the arrival. It's the ILS 08 left, and here it doesn't matter what I select first. Okay. Bamta 08 Bravo means for both left and right, and then we select the MIQ transition so that it is like with any of the other ones. Let's check. Bamta Rosa Bingo, Tustolandu Mike NDB, by the way, NB means NDB. So this is so accurate, you know. Almost none of the other implementations, also in X-Plane, have this level of accuracy and of realism. It's great. I just love being in a Pmdg. Might not be doing it very often, but I love being in it. So yeah, that's the route. Looks all great. Let's jump to the. So what doesn't work here is up here, nothing happens. But if you click here, it will suggest the current value. You can put it in here, and then it will calculate the rest. The reserves will be 4 tons, and the cruise altitude will be flight level 200. Cost index is 35. Fuel temperature is minus 37 degrees. Minimum fuel temperature minus 37 degrees. And 20% cruise CG. Okay, so it calculates a lot of the stuff that other implementations would just simply not even have in it, or we would write something or leave that empty. Thrust limit. We have 13 degrees at the moment. I'm going to use 45 degrees, which gives us a 94.4%. Should be okay. We'll see. We are light, so I think that is fine. Takeoff mode. We're going to take off with flaps 10. And again, you can put this in here. It will give you the current center of gravity, and it will also calculate the trim value, 4.9. And that means we have a V1 of 135, a V rotation of 138, and a V2 minimum of 155. And what we should do immediately is set V2 on the MCP. Okay, that's it. We are done. So we'll take off with 18 tons of fuel, and we should come back to Munich with about 4 tons that we have used. As you can imagine, this is going to be a 2-parter because there's a lot to tell about this aircraft. Is this on again? When was that turned on? Ah, when I did the oops, the reload, yeah. Okay, yeah, there are some click spots that open up 2D windows, so they have 2D windows for practically everything. So let's put this up. I have my hardware connected, the GoFlight hardware, which is actually quite compatible with Pmdg, and our heading is 080. Now that we have set up everything in the FMC, the next thing we can do is, instead of relying on the V-speeds, now that's the fast track, but if you want to be more realistic, especially if you have a larger flight, and I need to actually program myself a view here for the EFB, I haven't done that yet, for the performance calculation, well, I show you now what the other way would be to do this. Search ident, Munich, runways 08 left. We're not going to use any intersection. Condition is dry. The wind is let me try and remember. I think it's coming from 9.2 with 4 knots. Yeah. So you need the keyboard. So you need to find where the show keyboard is. Yeah. And then click here again. This can be a little bit awkward, because you click in here, you don't have the keyboard, you hold the keyboard, you're jumping out of the field, then you have to jump back into the field. But once you're with the keyboard here, that's fine. So 092 with 04 knots, which means 4 knots headwind, 1 crosswind. So it calculates your crosswind and headwind component. The OAT is 13 degrees, yeah, 55 degrees Fahrenheit. The QNH is, and that's something that we can, in the simulator, you just press the B key and it will show you. Let me quickly switch this to inch. So we have 1013. Which is 2991 inch. Okay. The takeoff weight, yeah, weight and balance. I think we can go in here now. And I thought that we can read from aircraft. So what it does is it pulls all the current weights and it checks if that's fine. So if you have orange values here, I've been playing with this obviously already. If you have orange values here, you're a bit out of whack with something, like you're too high, or I had also values that appeared too low or so, I'm not sure. But it shows you now the distribution of cargo, other weight sources and fuel. So we have the main 1.4 and 2.3 with almost the same fuel, and we have the fuel density today is 0.803. You could use this in the pilot tool. That's the kind of density thing that we were talking about. And you can actually load the aircraft with a fast fuel option, but that has already happened in this menu. So you can do all your setup also from here. It's possible to change these values and tell it to load the fuel. Okay, so we've got now the weight. I can press on complete, and what it does then is it automatically puts in your current takeoff weight and your center of gravity, which it calculates here now on 22.5. Now thrust rating, we use takeoff with a ATM, I think that's 45. I think that's where I put my 45 in. Flap configuration, well, actually we use flaps 10. Aircraft air conditioning is on, and anti-ice is off. And once you have filled out everything, you can tell it to calculate. It will hide the keyboard, and then it will give you pretty much the same values, I think. 135, 138, 155. And if we haven't done so already, we can actually copy this now to the FMC. Okay, so depending on how you did it, you could actually do everything in here and then let the FMC get the values from your EFB. They're all linked with each other. It's fantastic. Now, here, not unlike the Magnite, where there was only the performance for takeoff, there wasn't a landing performance yet. We can actually calculate that too. So why don't we at least go once through it so that we've seen it. It's a 08 left, the condition is dry. Again, our wind is, yeah, same thing. 092 with 04 knots. OAT is 13 degrees. QNH is 1013. That's not going to change. Flap configuration, we're going to land with flaps 30. The air conditioning remains on and the anti-ice is off. If I do calculate, it will give me a current landing weight and a current VREF. Now, the thing is, it's a bit early for that because we're going to fly about 40 minutes. We're going to lose some fuel. So the speed might actually differ, and we will see and can compare it then later on. All right. Now, there's also an en route part where you can calculate this en route. So we would probably use this later on when we are on our way to Mike and preparing for the approach. We can use this to calculate again. And here you can also set things like which auto brake you want to use, and if you have non-normals. If there's anything not out of the normal for your landing, it would then calculate this into your landing performance. This is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, reversers all operational. That's the reversers, and the condition is dry. So I'm already pre-filling this, okay, and I'm saying this here too, complete. And what you can see is we still need the landing weight. We haven't got that yet, but I can copy the FMC data, and it would then put in these values. But we're going to do this a bit later. All right. So absolutely fantastic. The functionality of this EFB was mind-blowing. I was sitting there and said, "Oh wow! I haven't seen it on that depth. I haven't actually seen it before." So this is really wow. Yeah. Right, almost an hour. So I think it's time that we get ready. What you also have is the checklist here. Yep. So let's try and get this window out somehow. Yeah. I hope you can bring this one out. Doesn't look like it though. Let's see. Instrument panel. Upper, lower, zoomed, lower DU. I think that's it. Yeah, here we go. So here's the checklist menu. Again, quite a thing. So here's all the normal checklists. Now it seems that I can't click here. So I would probably have to use the, oh yeah. Oh god. Yeah, you can, like in the real thing, you can, unfortunately you can't click. So that, anyway, parking brake. Is it not set? Oh, it's not set, yeah. Now it's set. Okay, it's an automatic checklist. And you can jump to the next one by just clicking on cell. And then it would come up with the next checklist. Okay, that's the before start checklist. So let's quickly go through. So we have programmed the whole FMC. We've also already set up everything up here. And so we have the APU running already. Yeah, we already used some fuel as well. I'm going to turn on, now that might not be proper procedure, but I'm just turning on everything we have at the moment, left and right. So, oops, yeah, the APU is already selected. And For startup, I'm going to turn 2 packs off. I put this into automatic, into auxiliary. Okay, so that we have some auxiliary hydraulic power. And I think that's it. So let's turn the beacon on, both, so they can be seen from below as well. And let's check here. We put those into automatic mode, and flaps are up. Yeah, everything is up. This is all out. And we can now call for GSX. And I want pushback and departure. Let's use Condor. Who knows if Condor will survive this corona crisis? I have a feeling it will be one of the many airlines that bite the dust when corona is eventually over. Then we're going to see a lot of changes in the airline business. Yeah, it will be not the same.
We are ready for pushback. Locking gear.
Have I closed all the doors, by the way? Oops. No, I haven't. Hang on. Close all. And we need to also... oh yeah, it's already all gone. And we will remove the chocks. So we need to nose, the nose has to go to the right, the tail to the left.
Departure check completed, pipe has been inserted. Release parking brakes.
Parking brakes released.
Commencing push. All engines clear, start at will.
Okay. So, yeah, let's go directly to the before start checklist. So flight deck door is closed. MCP we have set. Takeoff speeds we know. CDU pre-flight is completed. The trims we need to check. Yeah, taxi and takeoff briefing is completed. So that's the before start checklist. Yeah, for the trim we need to go here and we need to bring it to 4.9. Okay. And next is the before taxi checklist. But now let's start with the engines. I'm starting in the left 2. You can start 2 engines at the same time. At least that's what I know. Question is, do I have to turn this off? Possibly, yeah. Could be, maybe, maybe not. In the SSG, I had to leave 1 pack on. But here they come. The sound, as usual, very good.
Set parking brake.
Parking brake is set. So, have we got the starter cut out?
Start.
I'm not sure if the starters have cut out. Now they have, yeah. Okay, so, again, 2 and 1. 2 and 1. And then observe. Frames still 28, 29. The odd little drop on 23, but so far everything fine. Yeah, by the way, this aircraft does not have the map in the ND like in the real aircraft, but we have the Navigraph charts if you need support with that. Yeah, so that's our route. I think they're still out, right? Yeah, it's a bit difficult to see. Are they not? Waiting for good engine start confirmed from the GSX menu. Why so complicated? Okay. Confirm good engine starts. Yeah, starter cutout. So we're going to put that on, then flaps 10. Whoops. Hello? What was that? I have a bit of a problem here. The key does funny things. Okay, I used now the axis for it. Alright.
Unlocking gear.
Alright, let's check that.
Tow truck disconnected. Items being removed.
Okie dokie. Okay, so let's bring these two also into automatic mode, and let's turn the packs on. Let's turn the APU off. Taxi light on. So, and we quickly go through here. Fuel tank engine, TCAS off.
Right is clear.
Okay, bye-bye. Yeah, we still have a message. I need to figure out what it means. Recall. Checked, so the TCAS is off. Yeah, that's no surprise. And yeah, I'm still not sure. So recall. Flight controls. By the way, that one doesn't move because I brought it down. Ground equipment is clear. So what does it say? Fuel tank engine. Ah, it explains what the problemo is. Condition. One of these occurs. Crossfeed valve one. In either wing, an inboard tank quantity is less than or equal to the respective outboard tank was on the ground. In either wing, the inboard tank quantity is less than or equal to. Okay, so what shall I do? I mean, all the crossfeed stuff is on, so I'm wondering, should it or would it correct this condition for me? Let me see. So we have 4.4 here and 4.5 here. And do we have the crossfeed on or not? Would that be done automatically? But to be honest, I'm not too worried about that one. Right, so we are ready for taxi. And the flight, as usual, because this is already a long episode, about an hour, will be then in the second part. See you then.